Hello and welcome to Charlotte in North Carolina, one of the oldest states in the US, for the 2011 World's Strongest Man. It's the 34th edition, this, of an annual quest to find the most powerful man on the planet, and with the lineup we have for you here, this could be one of the toughest contests yet. So, 30 giant men, 5 qualifying rounds, tons of equipment to lift, load, drag and throw, and a series of challenges that's as big as your arm, which in these guys' cases is pretty big. Now, it's going to be a fierce contest this year. We've also introduced some new features which are hopefully going to make it the most entertaining World's Strongest Man yet. To tell us more about that, here's another new addition, Caroline Pearce.
Thanks, James. Now, we start this year with a World's Strongest Man classic, the loading race. Now, not a lot has changed in this event since the days of Jeff Capes, but what's very different for 2011 is the addition of these. Now, each of our athletes will be fitted with a heart rate monitor to help us show you at home just how superhuman they are. Now, we'll get into that from event 2, but this first event will really sap their strength and stamina because the athletes have to load 4 barrels weighing between 115 and 120 kilograms onto the platform over there. Sound easy? Well, just to give you some idea, that is the equivalent of lifting, carrying and placing onto a 1-meter platform heavyweight world boxing champion Vladimir Klitschko. Still sound easy?
Certainly does, Caroline. Everything's set then for the action to get underway here at Wingate University. Let's join our commentators for event 1, Colin Bryce, and first, Paul Dickinson.
There's the course, and the sand is going to make it very difficult indeed for these big men to get across in the quickest time possible. With 4 barrels await them, there are the rules of the contest. 75 seconds, the time limit. 2 barrels weighing 115 kilos, 2 weighing a massive 120.
Jean-Francois Caron.
And our first man, Jean-Francois Caron of Canada, Canada's strongest man this year.
Nick Best.
The veteran Nick Best from Las Vegas, a world powerlifting champion in the past.
From the United Kingdom, Mark Felix.
And the veteran 45-year-old Mark Felix of Great Britain comes from Blackburn.
Our team of sports scientists have done a battery of tests before the contest. 5 key attributes they looked at, and Felix's grip was outstanding.
Take your position!
So here we go. World's Strongest Man is underway. And certainly Mark Felix, if he has that endurance factor here, it's going to put him in good shape for this competition. That certainly is a factor, particularly when you get to barrel number 4.
And he's dealing with it well so far, Felix. They have to be upright, so it's important to place them well on the platforms. You don't want to have to shove them on at the end when you're still holding barrel number 4.
All of these guys are slowing down, and this sand is really proving to be a big test for all of them. But Mark Felix on the last barrel. He's going to set the fastest time here, well within the time limit of 75 seconds. Gets it up, 44.6. That's a good time. Nick Best of the USA in second, and Caron of Canada in third. What a good start for Mark Felix, though.
And it's the 2 elder statesmen of strongman. Felix, 45 years young, and Nick Best, 43, who comes in second with 47.11.
Messed it up.
Well, he said he messed it up. Jean-Francois Caron is going to have to hang on until heat number 2 to see where he finishes.
Right at the end of Felix's go, he did have some difficulties. His 3rd barrel was placed badly. He had to shove the 4th one on hard.
Number 1, Rauno Heinla.
So the first athlete we see in Heat 2, Rauno Heinla, Estonia's strongest man.
From Iceland, Hafþór Bjornsson.
And following in the footsteps of some Icelandic greats, Thor Bjornsson, 22 years old.
From the USA, Brian Shaw.
The giant Brian Shaw, runner-up in the final last year.
The test before the contest showed that Brian Shaw just doesn't have a weakness. His grip, flexibility, perfect.
Take your position.
The time to beat, 44.6 by England's Mark Felix. And it's the Icelander who draws first blood here. Bjornsson's looking very good indeed, but so is Shaw.
Well, Bjornsson's the only man that makes Shaw feel small. At 6'9", he's so enormous and only 22 years old. Interesting to see just how fit the young Icelander is at that body weight and size.
Well, Rauno Heinle on the far side in the yellow there. He's not letting these guys get away. In fact, he's moved ahead of Bjornsson now. It's all to play for. Good points to be won and lost. Remember, 44.6 to beat, and Shaw's done it. Oh, wow, and Heinle went well, too. And unfortunately, Tor Bjornsson, the Icelander, the younger, really faded towards the end, but it's fists pumping for America's Brian Shaw. Third place in that heat, 43.51. They're all fast times, and that's bad news for Mark Felix. A great second place there for Rauno Heinle.
Brian Shaw wins it. He has made mistakes in this event in the past, but this time it was really picture perfect, and he looked very fit as well.
Brian, you made a blistering start there. Did you have a score to settle with that event? Because it was the one that denied you the championship last year.
I actually love the event. You know, it's ironic that that cost me the title last year, but you know, it's good to get a good start, good to get a win, and I'm excited.
How does it feel walking through the sand with that amount of weight?
You know, these barrels really aren't like overly heavy, but the element of the sand, and this is actually very fine sand, so it crushes even more when you walk on it. So it just adds an extra element of difficulty to the event. But it's good. I like it. It's fun.
Well, the winner of the opening event, no great surprise then, but look at the debutant, Estonia's Rauno Heinle. A fine performance too from Mark Felix, but only good enough here for fourth. So they're off and running in North Carolina, but 450 kilograms on their back should slow them down a bit. It's the car walk next. Welcome back to North Carolina and Wingate University, venue for the World's Strongest Man 2011, where the students have been enjoying quite a show with our first event, the loading race. In this, 4 barrels weighing up to 17 stone each get hoisted onto raised platforms. Englishman Mark Felix made a decent start, loading all 4 barrels in just under 45 seconds. But that was then eclipsed by this man, Big Brian Shaw, the American, one of the favourites for the title this year, posting a winning time of 39.64 seconds. A couple of things that this part of the world is famous for: a barbecue and NASCAR. That's a NASCAR. So's that one. Anyway, the oval tracked multi-lap phenomenon has its headquarters right here in downtown Charlotte, and it's big, 150,000 square feet of prime North Carolina real estate. It's one of the highest rating draws on American television. NASCAR is a pretty big deal around here. Now, cars are at the heart of our next event on World's Strongest Man. They're pickups, quite literally.
There is the car they have to pick up, and there is the course. They have to carry it down in the fastest possible time. The car weighs in a massive 450 kilos and 75 seconds, as usual, the time limit over 25 meters.
Mark Felix.
Mark Felix, 4th place after event 1, would like to do much, much better here, just to take the pressure off himself as much as anything. He really does make that car look very, very small indeed. Here we go, and there for the first time is the heart monitor.
Well, he's down under 150 at the moment. He could be up as high as 180 if he was up near maximal heart rate for his age. So he's well within himself here.
He's progressing down the course beautifully here. He's got superb clearance off the ground with the front wheels, not so much with the back. And that is it, 24.72. Raises his arm, but will it be good enough?
He's barely breathing, Paul. He's worked very hard at his endurance these last 12 months, and it's really paid off here. Good time for Felix.
Please welcome from the USA, Brian Shaw.
Big Brian Shaw won't have any problems lifting this car off the ground. 6 foot 8 inches tall.
Ready?
And the winner of the first event, of course, that time that Mark Felix set, 24.72, and this is looking very good indeed for the American.
Well, it was like Usain Bolt shooting out of the start there. He didn't even take time to pick it up. He was already sprinting away. That's awesome power, and what a time this will be.
That was fantastic. 16.88 seconds, my goodness. So if any of the crowd want a car shifted quickly, this is the man to do it.
He started just so quickly and then shifted through the gears, almost jogging by the end. That is a stunning performance from Shaw.
The Canadian strongest man this year, Jean-Francois Caron. Had a few problems in the first event, finished in 6th place,
Are you ready?
and this time would love to do a lot better. Away we go. Well, he's never completed this course before, so 450 kilograms the weight, and already, Colin, it's a bit of a problem.
Well, it looks like he's just struggling with leg power here. Heart rate at 150 at the moment, so he's still in a comfortable range. It's more the strength he has a problem with, not the fitness, but it's kicking in now.
Well, every time that car goes down and he has to lift it again, his heart rate is going to rise phenomenally here. If it reaches the top, that is considered to be the highest heart rate that he can stand. Tell you what, it's well on the way.
It is, Paul. We've been going for 45 seconds now, similar to a 400-meter race, and he's right up at the maximum. It's gone red. He can't last long now at this pace.
How much has he got left? Can he finish the course? This is a tremendous effort from Caron. He's got a couple of meters to go now. The front of the car has to cross the line, and he's done it. Oh, wow. His pulse rate was up to 196. And total exhaustion from this youngster, 65.53.
I'm happy to finish. First time.
The first time he's ever completed the course. That was a tremendous effort, Colin.
I just wonder how much of his energy he's used. 196 beats a minute, that's right at his limit. He'll be totally exhausted after this. The next event, he may well struggle.
Welcome from Iceland, Upthor Bjornsson.
Tor Bjornsson, 1 inch taller than American Brian Shaw, 6 foot 9 inches. Just watch how high those front wheels are going to be off the ground. Wow. Away we go. They're taking short, staccato steps over the line. In comparison to Brian Shaw's mighty strides down the course, this is not particularly quick. Nevertheless, a good effort.
I mean, he barely fits in the car. This is a real car built for 2 people at the front, and he's as broad as it. What a massive man he is, and quick.
It is quick. 25.72. Brian Shaw miles ahead with his time of 16.88, looking safe at the top of the table.
Well, I think his back wheels just touched the ground in the beginning, and that slowed him up a bit. He accelerated away at the end, but he's probably a little upset. Could have done better.
Another man whose shoulders almost fill that car. Up next, it's Nick Best of the USA.
There you go, Joe.
Well, Nick Best's tests have shown he's got a great grip and great speed, too. Very quick man for his age at 43.
Ready?
It certainly is an amazing standard that's been set in this competition, particularly by Brian Shaw. 16.88 seconds. Has Nick Best got what it takes?
But his heart rate's already starting to climb. It did start high, though. I wonder if that's adrenaline kicking in at the beginning. Getting a good rhythm now.
He certainly was away to a slow start, but accelerating all the time over the line. Tremendous performance, 23.22, and that is good points for the man from Las Vegas. But Brian Shaw is the man that everybody will be cheering. A phenomenal performance, way, way ahead of anybody else in the contest.
So a bit of a car walk in the park for Brian Shaw, 6 seconds ahead of his closest rival, and he hardly seemed to break sweat. Once again, Mark Felix doing well, the Englishman, certainly putting in some very consistent performances. And Felix now has a share of that second qualifying position, along with Nick Best and Hafthor Bjornsson. Things are looking even better for Brian Shaw, though. 2 events, maximum points. He's looking like a sure thing for the final.
Basically, I've been focused on 2011 World's Strongest Man since the day that the 2010 World's Strongest Man ended. I've replayed that loading race in so many different times about what happened and, you know, maybe what I could have done a little bit different. That moment ended up costing me 2 big points. Being on the podium, getting the second place trophy, and, you know, had to look at Zydrunas get the first place trophy. To come that close and not win was kind of a heartbreaker for me. I kind of put it in my mind at that moment that, you know, I was coming back to win in 2011. I wasn't going to let anything stop me. Going into this year's competition, basically I've revamped my training a little bit. Pressing has always been one of my tougher things. I've really tried to improve on that. You know, and then my endurance, my strength endurance, I've changed my diet, and I feel like that's translating to just an overall better package. I've worked very hard on my preparation for every contest, and so going into World's Strongest Man, I absolutely consider myself the man to beat. I look at myself as a favorite, and I welcome the pressure that brings too.
Well, there's confidence. Brian Shaw's assault on the title continues now in Rockingham, 60 miles outside of Charlotte, and home to another NASCAR establishment, Rockingham Speedway. Over to Colin Bryce and Paul Dickinson for the truck pull.
12 tons of American truck ready and waiting for all of our strongmen. They've got to pull this 12,000 kilogram truck over a course of 20 meters. And the time limit is 75 seconds. To make matters worse, the course is slightly uphill.
Brian Shaw.
So Brian Shaw, the man to beat at the moment. He's trained so hard for this year's contest. These guys have already had their opportunity and blown it to a certain extent. They haven't completed the course at all, but the leader, Jean-Francois Caron of Canada, just over 18 meters. So away we go. Brian Shaw, absolutely enormous, trying to make best use of those huge arms and using his legs to full effect as well.
Well, we are expecting the heart rate to go up, perhaps higher than any other event here in the truck pull. You use your arms, you use your legs, you're breathing extremely heavy, there's so much tension on your body. I'm surprised Shaw is keeping his heart rate so low. He should be up high 195, 196, somewhere around there if he's up at his maximum. Very fit man for his size, Shaw. He's so well prepared.
Well, he's got those climbing boots on as well. The truck rumbling over the line. It's a superb performance by Shaw, who once again goes into the lead. 48.03 his time. Very easy indeed. Despite the fact he was shaking his head there, Colin, made it look good.
He's shouting too easy. I'm not so sure about that. But still, he was well within himself.
Welcome from England, Mark Felix.
Once again, Mark Felix has got it all to do, but he is in second place. If he can get a good performance here, he will really take the pressure off himself, moving into the second half of the contest. Now, will his age count against him? That is something that must be going through his mind, Colin.
Well, I'm not so sure, Paul. He's just different from the others. He didn't come to the sport until his mid-30s, and he just doesn't have the wear and tear that some of the others do who are half his age. He's such a fit man, Felix. Great physique, and he's putting it to good use here.
Well, rather like Brian Shaw, he started slowly with a smooth pull and a smooth drive of the legs. Reached top acceleration about 4 or 5 meters ago. Now he's beginning to slow down, and this is where it gets harder. Just watch the clock. Brian Shaw would have finished by now, so can Mark Felix make it? Those legs must be burning. Leaning forward, using his body weight, which is quite insubstantial in terms of what Shaw has to offer, at over 400 pounds body weight. Mark Felix has had enough. That is the end for the Englishman. His distance, 18.56 meters, and that does put him, for the time being, into second place.
Well, he's giving up something like 30% body weight to Brian Shaw, and right at the end of this course, when it goes quite a bit uphill. It really does count.
Hafthor Bjornsson.
Well, here is another man who certainly has the advantage in terms of body weight. He's got long levers as well, so possibly could challenge the American.
He is a human anomaly. The tests have shown he has awesome grip and flexibility, and his endurance for such a big man is impressive too.
Just to remind you that time of Brian Shaw, 48.03. Well, up until a few years ago, Colin, this guy was an international basketball player, so as you said, his endurance should be good.
His endurance is excellent, 200 kilos in body weight. When he was playing for Iceland at basketball just 3 years ago, he only weighed 115 kilos, though, so he's done well to maintain that endurance. And look at this, Paul, accelerating away through the middle of the course.
That fire truck is really motoring now. Keep your eye on the clock. 48.03 to beat, and surely the Icelander's going to win his first event. Oh, magnificent, under 40 seconds. And back in the hunt for a qualifying position for the final.
And there's nothing wrong with those lungs, eh? Fantastic stuff from the young Icelander. Super start, uses his body weight well, two-footed drive. And then the body weight again, it does help at the end when he starts to fatigue.
Brian Shaw has to settle for second place, while another decent performance from Mark Felix gives him a very valuable third. The big story, though, the big Icelander, Thor Bjornsson, who certainly put the hammer down in the truck pull, seeming to impress as well his fellow countryman, the four-time World's Strongest Man champion, Magnus Ver Magnusson. And Bjornsson moves into that second qualifying spot on his own now. Mark Felix still hot on his heels with some good events to come. The American Brian Shaw for now firmly in control of Group 1. How will things develop between these three giants? Shaw, Felix and Bjornsson will need to stay at full throttle after the break as they face the car deadlift and the aptly named giant dumbbells.
We realise that it's been a demanding year. You've worked hard and pushed yourself to your limits. So we thought it's only right that we should reward you with a little break. You could win a family trip to Florida with 7 nights in a 4-star hotel, access to a car to explore Florida's attractions, passes to Disney and SeaWorld, and £1,000 to splash. To win this fantastic holiday, just answer the following. Which famous character eats spinach for extra strength? Is it A, Homer Simpson, B, Popeye, C, Mickey Mouse? To enter, call 0904 1613 555, text Florida plus A, B or C to 80556, or post your answer, name and phone number to Florida, P.O. Box 7557, Derby, DE1 0NP. Calls cost $1.53 from a BT landline. Other networks vary. Mobiles cost considerably more. Text costs $1.50 plus standard network rate. Lines close midday 2nd of January 2012 and 3 days later for postal entries. Rules and winners, channel5.com/win.
Welcome back to Heat 1 of qualifying for the 2011 edition of the World's Strongest Man. We're coming from the home of NASCAR, Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's already been quite a show. Yes, a one-man show so far. The 6', 8" American Brian Shaw showing why he's one of the favourites for the title this year. He won the opening 2 events, the loading race and the car walk, with ease. But just to prove he's human, he had to settle for second place in the truck pull. Iceland's Hafthor Bjornsson posting a stunning winning time and looking pretty pleased about it. Time to head back to Rockingham Speedway, a legendary NASCAR venue, for the next event. We've kept the car theme running, but once again for our athletes, there's no driving involved. They provide the horsepower themselves. Here's Colin Bryson first, Paul Dickinson.
Well, there are the 2 cars ready and waiting for this deadlift. 75 seconds, once again the time limit. The weight of the car, 360 kilos. That is really going to test every one of our strongmen. Well, a few guys have already taken part in this contest. Rauno Heinle of Estonia, he achieved 5 repetitions. Then along came Jean-François Caron of Canada. surpassed 5 repetitions easily and went on to make 9. That was a good lead for the Canadian.
Welcome from the USA, Nick Best.
Well, next up, the pairing of Nick Best, who's in 4th place after 3 events, and England's Mark Felix, renowned as one of the world's best deadlifters. He's absolutely awesome at this event.
Arlington Barbell Club, I love coming here. It's such a good atmosphere. I mean, you have to do your personal best in this place because everybody is just so supportive. It's an old hardcore gym. They got some heavy weights in this place. It's fantastic. I hardly used to do deadlift when I used to bodybuild. My first competition, there was a 250 deadlift, even though I never done deadlift before. So I decided to train in the gym, and I did like 4 reps. And I said, right, I was ready for it. And when I get there, I did 14 reps with 250. I decided, right, this is it. Training hard, working hard, it's a bit difficult, you know, but you have to want to do it. Work like 5 or 6 days a week and, you know, still go and train after work. And to compete, it's tough. I think it's helped me a lot to stay fit, to stay strong, to stay healthy. You know, just finish work, go home, change, see the kids, go straight to the gym, come back, see the kids again, wife. It's a way of life. I still want to win the World's Strongest Man. I'm still feeling strong. I'm still feeling great. I have no injury. You know, I'm still doing personal best. I think anyone that go to the World's Strongest Man should want to win the World's Strongest Man. It's pointless, you know, going there thinking I want to come 2nd or 3rd or 4th. You know, you have to go in it to win it.
Well, Mark Felix on the right-hand side will certainly be wanting to win this one. He dropped into 3rd place after the last event. So he's here to make up the deficit and going well at the moment.
Well, I'm surprised Nick Best isn't doing better. He has world records in this in powerlifting. He seems to be struggling somewhat. Felix, though, goodness me, a masterclass in how to do it.
Well, he's gaining on that lead of 9 reps, which is equalled now. 1 more for the lead for the Englishman. Nick Best is struggling, as you said, Colin.
This for double figures. Well, I wonder whether Best has done something. He doesn't look comfortable.
This is an awesome performance, as we expected from Mark Felix. Just bouncing it up his thighs to get number 11. And that is superb. Nick Best mystified as to what went wrong. We think he might have a bit of a back injury.
It's my back. You can hear him saying it. He looks rather ginger there getting up. Felix, 11 reps. Ho, that is tremendous. Let's just have another look at that last rep. Rips it off the ground. And then just grinds to a halt. Has to jack it up his thighs to finish it. What a fighter.
From the USA, Brian Shaw.
Big Brian Shaw, the emphatic leader of this heat.
From Iceland,
and he's up against another giant. Bjornsson of Iceland, of course, in 2nd place ahead of Mark Felix. This could be a significant event for Mark Felix as well. There's the former world's strongest man, a legend, Magnus Ver Magnusson, wanting to see what his countrymen can do. There's Brian Shaw, who's away first, and we understand that Magnus Ver Magnusson has been coaching Bjornsson. Well, to have a coach like that, that's a bit special, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Magnus Ver is one of the greats in history. The 2nd most decorated strongman after Pudzianowski, equal to John Paul. But at the moment, it's Brian Shaw who's playing a little cat and mouse here. He's watching over to see what Bjornsson's doing. Bjornsson does one, he pulls another one. See, look, he's glancing over now.
Well, I think Brian Shaw understands that his place in the final is pretty much nailed on at the moment. And that is a surprise. Bjornsson coming off the bar. Shaw wins this particular contest between the two. But let's not forget Mark Felix. He's won this one and won it well.
Indeed, Caron as well. Yeah, he's saying, I'm okay. Yeah, there was one rep disallowed there. And the referee's just checking that Shaw understood why it was taken away. Both men having to lift it a very long way. They're tall guys. Shaw made it look easy. Bjornsson doesn't quite have the same strength maturity.
Mark Felix still king of the deadlift then, and there was more good news with his main rival for second place, Thor Bjornsson, all the way down in joint fourth. And that means the Englishman is back in the qualifying places. He's 1.5 points clear of the Icelander with just 2 events remaining.
We've moved back to Wingate University for the penultimate event, and it's an absolute monster. I'm joined by 3 times world's strongest man and all-round strongman guru, Bill Kazmaier. Bill, we've seen giant dumbbell pressing in previous years, but never anything quite like this. What are the big changes here, and how will it affect the athletes?
Well, the change is we're going from repetitions to an ascending group of 4 dumbbells, starting at 100 kilos, going to 115 kilos. The athlete's going to have a tough time just getting this dumbbell to the shoulder and then keeping it in a position where they can actually ram it overhead.
How many guys do you think will actually make all 4 of these dumbbells?
In this group, maybe 1, 2. It's really hard telling. Some of the guys are going to struggle with the first dumbbell.
Sounds tough. Well, let's get the show on the road. Over to our commentators, Paul Dickinson and Colin Bryce.
Well, if Bill Kazmaier thinks it's hard, it must be. There you are, 4 dumbbells ranging from 100 to 115 kilograms. The time limit is 90 seconds. Well, so far, Nick Best, his problems continue. He's got a back problem, quite a serious one. Didn't manage any repetitions at all. Jean-Francois Caron just managed 1 dumbbell. That was 100 kilos. And Heinle, well, he got 2 in a time of 1 minute 21.03. So that was the target.
Welcome from England, Mark Felix.
Well, another big test for Mark Felix, despite the fact he won that last event. He must be feeling confident now, but he's got to maintain this qualifying position of second place. First place looks as though it belongs to the American Brian Shaw. Well, 100 kilos made that look easy, Colin, and he's looking good so far.
Yeah, Mark used to be quite bad at overhead events, but he's worked so hard at them. Ooh, it's just getting the rhythm of your legs and then locking out with your arm at the top. Nobody is strong enough just to press these with their tricep.
Yeah, surprising there, he changed from his right arm to his left arm. I think he is right-handed, so...
He is, but some of them are fairly ambidextrous, and he's comfortable with both.
But this is a massive weight to be lifted one-handed, and he's struggling with that second dumbbell. 105 kilos, 230 pounds, he's had enough. Well, that is not going to do his prospect of qualifying for the final any good at all.
The first one looked just so easy, up in less than 6 seconds. But the second one, that 5 kilos extra, he was just a fraction away and couldn't lock it out.
Mark, so tough with that second dumbbell. What were you feeling?
It was a bit tough. I just wish I had it, you know. I really needed that dumbbell, but it just wasn't happening for me.
I mean, it looked like you could have had the strength there, but the angle or the trajectory, what was it, just the imbalance that was putting you off?
I think I just wasn't using enough leg. I just needed to do more leg drives.
Well, there's one more event to go, and it's going to make it quite tricky now, isn't it, between yourself and Hapthor? What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I wouldn't give up till the last event. You know, I'm pretty good at stones, so I just had to wait and see.
Welcome from Iceland, Hafthor Bjornsson.
Thor Bjornsson, that third place. He dropped down into third after the last event as a result of Mark Felix winning it, and winning it well, so he'll want to climb back up the leaderboard after this event. So here we go. This looked easy for Mark Felix, and it's relatively easy for the Icelander. This is the crucial one, though, Colin.
It's a long way up for Bjornsson. He's standing nearly 7 foot tall. His dumbbell going up at about basketball rim height. 105 kilos. Yes, he's done it.
And he moves ahead of Mark Felix. It was a quick time. It was under 30 seconds. Now, can he go to dumbbell number 3? 110 kilos. This is almost 17 stone of body weight. And he's got it. He loves it. He's in the lead. The last dumbbell, 115 kilos. And there's not even a minute on the clock here. Oh, he looks as though he might have blown it in terms of endurance here.
Well, every time you step up that extra 5 kilos, and of course you're that little bit more tired, it becomes trickier and trickier. One last attempt. 5 seconds left.
Well, the crowd will never have seen anything like this before, that's for sure. He takes the applause. He's the current leader in the giant dumbbell press with a magnificent performance.
Well, a nation of 300,000 people, and they've churned out yet another giant in Bjornsson. This guy is so impressive, just missing that last rep.
Welcome from the USA, Brian Shaw.
Brian Shaw, the overall leader, just clarifying the rules with a judge who's right in front of him on the platform. And he just needs one lift. We've done the calculations, and it would take him through to the final. Such is his points advantage, and he gets it. So there's our first qualifier for this year's World's Strongest Man final.
Well, this is just for show now. I wonder if he'll do all 4. The American crowd would love it if he did. Second one was very comfortable. Oh, so too the third.
Wow, that was even quicker than Bjornsson. Well, this is a tremendous performance, but can anybody hoist number 4 up? 115 kilos? Oh, my goodness. That was easy. Thank you very much. I'm in the final. Takes the applause, quite rightly so. Brian Shaw of the USA.
Well, Paul, are we looking at the world's strongest man of 2011? He looks so comfortable at the moment. Overhead, which was his previous weakness. Now he's on top of the world here. Great shoulder power, no problem at all.
Brian, you've qualified for the final with consummate ease. Was there ever any doubt?
You know, qualifiers can be a little nerve-wracking once in a while, but I was extremely confident, and you know, I've really haven't had to work extremely hard to get there, so I've got a lot saved, a lot of energy, and I'm ready to fight in the final now.
And did seeing Hafthor do 3 give you even more motivation to do that 4th one, just to prove that you are the best?
You know, it was great to see him do that, and him and Mark are in a tight battle right now to go through, and basically what my plan was is just to come out and win the event so that those guys can settle their score. I don't want to get in between them and you know, cause too much of a points difference. So that was honestly my plan, and you know, when they were feeling easy, I just went ahead and did the 4th one for fun.
Perfection for sure, but bitter disappointment for Felix. So close to getting that 2nd rep and a valuable 3rd place finish. Instead, it's Bjornsson who makes up 2 points on the Englishman. And that moves him back into the last remaining qualifying place, just half a point ahead of Mark Felix. With 1 event remaining, it couldn't be tighter. King of Heat 1, though, Brian Shaw. Thank you. That is a £5 sandwich. They do say everything's bigger in the States, and our competition's certainly been living up to that so far. Coming up in a couple of minutes, we're going to have the decisive final round of Heat 1. The Atlas Stones. That, as I say, in a minute or two. Right now, though, we take a quick break while I get into this. We've already had a feast of strongman action up to now, but the last call should be a real 5-star affair as Felix and Bjornsson face the final showdown.
Don't forget our fantastic competition to win a family trip to Florida with £1,000 to splash. For your chance to win, just tell us which famous character eats spinach for extra strength. Is it A, Homer Simpson, B, Popeye, C, Mickey Mouse? To enter, call 0904 1613 555. Text Florida plus A, B or C to 80556, or post your answer, name and phone number to Florida, PO Box 7557, Derby, DE10NP. Full terms and conditions at channel5.com/win.
How long I got left?
20 seconds.
I'm out. Finished. Welcome back. That was big and meaty. And so is the final part in today's programme. Now, so far, we've had a bit of a one-man show from the incredible Brian Shaw with his car walk and blowing the North Carolina crowd away with his prowess with the dumbbells. He's through to the final. Time now to see if perhaps Mark Felix can join him there with the decisive round of Heat 1. It is the Atlas Stones. Yes, a great crowd here at Wingate University for this, one of the iconic moments in the world's strongest man. 5 stones, 180 kilograms the maximum weight, 1 minute 15 to lift them in, and one Englishman with an almighty task ahead of him.
Mark, you're just half a point behind Hatfield for a place in that final. What are your thoughts right now?
Well, my thoughts right now is just to go there and just give it all my best. This got to be my best Atlas stone ever this year. I just need to get all of them up in a very quick time with no mistake.
Feeling psyched up?
I'm feeling very psyched up. I'm ready to go, you know.
Good luck, Mark. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
So Caron of Canada and Heinler of Estonia, they've already achieved 5 stones each, but it's Caron who's got the fastest time, just over 47 seconds. But then along came Brian Shaw, already qualified for the final, an incredible 22.36. And Nick Best nursing that bad back, 53.05. A very good performance indeed.
Mark Felix.
But it is all now down to Mark Felix and his opponent here, Bjornsson of Iceland. Not only to see who gets second place, but who joins Brian Shaw in the final. This is a must-win situation here for Mark Felix. There he is, just 0.5 of a point behind Bjornsson of Iceland. Mark Felix has been in the final before, Bjornsson hasn't. Who's it going to be, Colin?
Oh, well, Mark just slipped there at the beginning. That's made things very difficult. And these high platforms certainly play into the hands of Bjornsson, who's nearly 7 foot.
Well, Bjornsson is well ahead now. No mistakes so far. And this is good for Bjornsson. Can he get 180 kilos on top of that platform? Mark Felix is struggling with stone number 4. And Bjornsson has done it. He's in the final. And that means the Englishman is out. And Mark Felix, well, you have to beg the question, is this the last time we will see him going for a place in World's Strongest Man final after a long career?
Well, I hope he gets this. Oh, no, it's gone down. And, no, he's given up. Probably the right thing to do. He damaged his biceps in the past on the Atlas Stones. There's no point now. We know who's going through to the final. Bjornsson joining Brian Shaw, and Mark Felix just 4 stones in 27 seconds. The young 22-year-old, awesome in the stones. We'll see more of him in the final. As for Felix, it must have been hard to do that last stone when he could hear the Viking roar.
Mark, commiserations. You gave it absolutely everything you had there. How are you feeling?
Not too good at all. I'm not happy. My tackle keeps slipping. It was very slippery, so that's why I didn't get it up.
You looked across and you saw he had that third one up. At that point, did you think you could come back, or was it kind of game over then?
No, I didn't give up. I didn't think game over. I mean, he still has some more stone to do. He could have made a mistake as well. So I'll just keep going.
Bitter disappointment, Mark. I'm sure you'll be back next year as ever, OK?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So while Brian Shaw takes yet another event win, the thing that really matters is the name in second spot, and a fine performance in the Atlas Stones gives Hafthor Bjornsson the all-important victory over Mark Felix. The Englishman thus missing out on that second qualifying place. Bad news for him, but congratulations to the Icelandic debutant and the hugely impressive Brian Shaw, our first 2 finalists. Beauty, isn't she? Well, that's the end of a long, hard day on World's Strongest Man 2011. But don't worry, we've got more big monsters coming up in Heat 2 in our next show, in which we discover if Laurent Charlet can bounce back from his bitter disappointment in Sun City last year when he just missed out on the finals. That's coming up next time then. For now, while I relax with my new friend, it's goodbye from Charlotte, North Carolina.
It's a right carry on as Barbara Windsor takes over my job next tonight and guides you through the perfect comedy evening, starting off with Carry On Christmas in just a tick.